Hey, Laura.
Hi, everyone. Kaitlin, Lauren, Evelyn here for our weekly tea time. How are you ladies this week?
Good. I have my tea. Are you all bringing your tea?
I am bringing my seltzer in my favorite mug, so it feels like tea, but
So
I have my trusty water bottle.
but at least it's not vodka.
No, yes, that's what we were trying to avoid, caffeine and alcohol.
Yeah.
Why? Can you remind? Why are we trying to avoid that, Lauren?
We can review that today.
Maybe that's a good thing.
I found that I'm not drinking water, so I need to go back to like carrying my water bottle around, like all this, which I always used to have, and I would think it'd be easier being at home to just drink water, and it's not.
Yeah.
So this is now attached to me again.
That's good. From like kitchen to living room to.
Yeah. I should just get water bottles and place them throughout the house, so every room has a water bottle.
Well, I would find like, oh, I'm thirsty, I need to go get water, and then like my toddler would need something, or I'm pulled outside and I'm like, but wait, I'm still thirsty. But yeah, it's harder to get to water than you think it would be.
Yeah. I like literally start diagnosing myself with like, I'm tired, I think I'm depressed. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't had water all day. Coffee's not water. And I will just drink a huge glass of ice water and everything in my life improves. It's kind of incredible. So water upkeep.
The basic needs come first.
Yes, I saw, you know what I saw that it really reminded me of our discussions? I saw one of those, and you guys probably can speak to it so much better than me, one of those triangles about like our primal needs, and it's like basic food, water, shelter, and then, safety, and then family and love. And then like all the way up the top, it's like friends and socialization. It's like all these other things. But I think we all in the early weeks, at least, were in this, like suddenly we were at the top of the triangle or the pyramid, and then we were kicked back down to like, I remember with my husband, it's like, do we have enough food to get through this? Will there be food? Are we safe? Do we have the things we need to like just literally survive? Which is a very uncomfortable place to be, and it's a very unfamiliar place to be.
I think that's why I reminded some moms of the early postpartum days, because Evelyn, you probably are the same. When I first meet with a woman, I ask her about those needs first. And sometimes I hear like, well, no, I haven't been eating. And it's like, no amount of therapy is going to help you feel better if you haven't eaten all day.
Right.
So you get those needs met first. But you're right, in these times when even the basics kind of get taken away, or we have major sleep disturbances and we're not getting the rest that we need, it's like, okay, that's what you're tackling first. And then we can talk about all the other things like tea time, but you need sleep and you need food. And then you're right, safety too. And that right now in constant anxiety.
Yeah. I find myself also, I get into a cycle of when I'm anxious, I don't sleep. And then if I don't sleep, I struggle more the next day. And then I struggle and then I'm anxious. Like it just becomes this cycle of not sleeping and also feeling terrible all the time. It's great. I'm not there now, which is why I can talk about it. It's always in retrospect.
I do find myself doing that too, where I'll like all of a sudden I'm just like staying up later and later, and I couldn't even tell you what I'm doing. It's not that I'm doing anything productive. It's probably just continuing to worry. And then I kind of have to just regroup myself, do all the things that I like to do for self-care so that I can kind of just put some of those anxieties like to rest for a little bit. Like, even if it is like going through a checklist of like, I've done this, this, and this, okay, like that's done, and kind of putting it aside. And then just also making it a habit to kind of like turn everything off, because I'm definitely guilty of like taking my phone to bed and remembering to like, okay, I'm just going to leave it here. Like, I don't need it. I'm trying to go to sleep. I shouldn't be looking at anything. So, and then once I kind of get back into that habit, then my sleep evens out too.
It's I'm glad we're talking about this, because one of the things on my mind right before we started was like, I want to talk about how our mental health right now is affecting us physically. Because I had a recent conversation with my mom who suffers from migraines, and she's like, well, I've been having a migraine every day. And I've noticed, some tension in my jaw. I had a few nights ago where I had trouble sleeping, and we think about with our kids too, the sleep disturbances, the nightmares, the belly aches. things like that of, okay, what is this really? Is this a health thing? And also COVID symptoms sound like anxiety. So how many times have you all thought that you've had it? And Kaitlin, you probably have. You have had it.
Yeah.
So you think that you have it with the tightness in your chest, and it's like, wait a second, is this anxiety? Because our mental and physical health are so intertwined with this. So I wanted to hear about what you all have seen and gone through physically and mentally.
Yeah, no, I personally, when you said the tightness in your jaw, the last 3 nights, my husband has woken me up several times because I'm grinding my teeth, which I haven't done in years. Like, I know that's something I do when I'm just like stressed, not sleeping well. And it's been like literally years it hasn't happened. And all of a sudden I'm just doing it and I'm waking up with like that tightness. So yeah, like I think it's, some of it's like, even though may not be feeling it quite during the day, it's coming out somewhere. So
definitely. Yeah, I don't think I'm experiencing any physical symptoms. I feel like I'm in a place right now where I'm actually feeling better than I've felt, I think, since this all started. But it's interesting to watch other people that I know go through their process, because it's all like everybody has their own individual timeline. Like my friend said to me yesterday, oh, yeah, we lost it on the kids and we flipped out on the kids. And I was like, oh, I did that like week 1, day 2. It's like, at least
done that.
Like, wow,
that's check that off my to-do list.
That's so week 1 of you. Like, what is week 6? You haven't flipped out on your kids yet. So there's this, I don't know, like watching other people, and like one of my husband's coworkers texted him like, oh, that text something like they're having some conflict. I'm noticing a lot of people, I'm one of them, is having conflict with other people. And like part of it is, I think like for me, I think everybody else is their pre-pandemic self, you know, like I don't see the struggle because we're not seeing anybody. And so my husband's coworker texted and was like, oh, are you guys also struggling? And he was like, yeah, of course we're struggling. Like, what do you mean? Like, of course we're stressed out. Of course so I don't know, there's this like collective depression, anxiety, and stress, but it's all like happening. Everybody has their own peak or their apex, as Daddy Cuomo would say. So it's
and it goes back and forth, and it can be nice to reach out to people who are in a better place to hear like, yes, I've been through that, and I flipped out on the kids, and I had the trouble sleeping, and you might go back to that, and but it is nice to think about it like, okay, like I'm feeling okay right now, but if I have another bad day, what helped me the last bad day, and what helped me feel better? And on the good days, what's the theme on the good days? Like, what did I do or not do that lent itself to increase the odds of that being a good day? Was it I got the 2 walks outside? Was it I only had 1 cup of coffee in the morning versus 4?
That's never me.
Kaitlin, I'm going to keep working on you. But trying to notice that, I mean, we have all this time, but no time, but we have time during the day to be thinking about this, of like, what about this day feels good and right? I had this wonderful moment 2 days ago where I was watching my husband play ball with the kids out in the backyard. It was like 3:30, 4 in the afternoon on some weekday. And I had this wonderful thought of like, this wouldn't be happening otherwise. And I would never want this to happen, for that to happen. But I tried to like soak that in and remember that for when I was having a hard moment of like, these are the moments that feel really good and special and fill up my wellness bucket to help me feel better. And I'm going to hold on to this to remember for when I'm stressing out the next time, because I know I'm going to have another freak out moment at some point.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I think so I had an interesting afternoon yesterday because I talked to 3 different friends, all kind of consecutively and not planned. And what I found is that everybody is struggling, but like in different aspects of this. Like I talked to, this one friend all about, the kids and being home with kids and how difficult that is, and how their anxiety is coming out aggressive behavior, and what are we, there's just like this whole unknown. And then my friend called me and she's like, might have to sell her house because their income is gone. And and she went to go see her mother and she couldn't hug her and she was in tears. And it's like, there's this, I don't know, I felt very in that, and I know like we can't discount anybody's, I'm not trying to discount anybody else's, but I think it just for me gave me a little perspective on, yeah, I'm feeling bad for myself. Yes, I'm a very social person and I really, really, really miss human connection of any kind, like just face-to-face connection. But at least I have an income, and at least I have, you know, like the fundamental things in that triangle are met for me, like housing and food and clothing for my children. And it's, I don't know, there's so many people that have it so much worse than I do. And every week that this drags on, those financial struggles, I think, grow for people as stimulus checks are not coming in or they're not enough. And, you know, I don't know, it's just, there's worse people out there. And like being home with my kids is not the worst thing in the world. Maybe I just stopped feeling so bad for myself. So, yeah.
And being home with your kids, you staying healthy and out of the hospital system and out of, you know, passing along, since your husband had it, passing along to other people, helps that person in a way by, you know, trying to make this end as quickly as possible. And then for people in financially good situations, being able to donate when you can, or you all both found masks like miraculously.
Yeah.
So it goes back to like your heart breaks for that friend, and it increases your gratitude. And then it's like, okay, well, what can I do to help? All right, I'm going to stay healthy and make sure we're not spreading it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in other ways that you've given, like with the masks, it's such a, is a good way to look at it. And then just being a support for that friend too, and being able to listen, even though you can't whisk away those problems for her as much as you wish you could.
Yeah. But I mean, I know for me, it's like when I'm in that dark place, just talking there, like I don't need any solutions, but I just need someone to listen to and listen to me. And so I did that for her. Yeah. And what else am I going to do?
Yeah, there is something really helpful of just kind of like getting it out, like having that release, because otherwise you're just holding on to it. And then that just, it builds and builds and builds. And like, you want to be able to release it in sort of a controlled way, not like when we kind of just lose it. So whether it is like, you know, talking to the friend that like just lost it on my kids, like, yes, like we're all doing that, but just let it out. Like it's okay. Because we're all, like we said, we're all kind of struggling in one way or another from week to week. Like one week, something might be challenging. The next week, it might be something else that's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll come out some way or another, like with teeth grinding or the tension in my jaw. But yeah, just being able to talk. And Evelyn, I know, you know, in my sessions with my clients, sometimes it is just a vent about this with me because there is no solution to this. And I've been hearing a lot of, one of the big themes I noticed this past week was my baby's growing up so fast and my mom's not there, my dad's not there to see this. And we FaceTime, but you know,
it's not the same.
Okay, it's not the same. You know, we talk about sending videos of the kids and all, it's just not the same. Let's establish that. So there's that great loss there and sadness around it. And I'm like, I can't change that for the person, but I acknowledge like that is hard. Like, and week by week for a baby is huge. And you are missing out on these moments, and those moments are for you as a parent. You want to share them. You're proud of your baby developing, and you're grateful that he or she is healthy, but you want to share it with your family and your close friends. And that's such a loss I've been hearing from the moms I've been working with.
Right. And like the uncertainty of when it's going to end, right? So like, we don't know, like, is it just like these first 3 months of baby's life? Is it more than that? You know, I've had people kind of also talk about like how could we plan some kind of trip, you know, even like 3 or 4 months from now? You know, will it be safer? Will it make sense? Will I drive somewhere versus flying? Do we then stay separated where we are, but we're like slightly closer? So it's like, I think a lot of people are sort of brainstorming, you know, what it's going to be like to continue living with this at some point, to kind of mitigate some of the distancing that we've had to do immediately, but how is life going to go on too? So it's almost it's a little bit hopeful of like, how do we continue to deal with this in some way?
It's hard. I actually said that last night to my friend. I said, I think what adds to this is that unknown. It's very similar to labor. This is like my birth doula, background coming up, but it's so similar to labor because we're in it right now and we cannot see our way out of it. We do not know when it's going to end. We don't know probably not tomorrow, but we don't know if 2 weeks from now they're going to say, all right, we're in the clear. We got the tracing and testing up and running. Everybody go back. Or if it's 6 months from now, and it's that kind of unknown of like what this is going to look like and the timeline of it. If somebody told me just hang in there, August 1st, everything's going to be back to relatively normal, then you could at the very least like make dates with people and have things to look forward to. One of the things I hear the most and I feel the most is this monotony. Like there's nothing to break up the week from the weekend and the 1 week from the other. Like I talked to my husband and I'm like, well, didn't that just happen 2 days ago? And he's like, that was 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, there's no way. And we'll look up we'll try to timestamp things on our phone. And I always lose because I always think things happened like a day ago. And it was like 12 days ago that things happened. But who can tell? Every day is the same.
And I was like, oh yeah, this morning. And my husband was like, that wasn't this morning. I was like, no, that was literally this morning. He's like, what? And then yesterday, so I think I mentioned this our first tea time. Like I didn't know what day it was. And my daughter checked her days of the week undies. She did it yesterday. She's like, what? She's like, what is today? And she pulls down her pants and looks at her underwear. And
that is going to be a very uncomfortable pandemic habit to
I'm going to have to break that. But then I'm thinking, do we all need days of the week?
I think your daughter, you're going to have to give her like a day planner and be like, listen, this is how other
planner,
it's
not
so
the underwear.
True. The days just they blend into each other. Like I find myself in the morning when I wake up and I'm like, okay, it's 8, it's 9. Like, what am I going to do all day if it's not a day that I'm like working? And the day feels endless, and then I blink, and then it's like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, I got to figure out something for dinner or whatever. Like it's like we have all this time, but then it's gone in this weird way. So I don't know,
it's like we have so much time and none at all.
Right.
And it's what are things we can do to distinguish weeks from one another or weekends? Like I want something to look forward to. I used to look forward to having dinner with friends or going out somewhere with my family or I don't know, babysitters. Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of babysitters.
Speaking of little.
We have still kind of tried as best we can to kind of separate the weekends. And thinking of things to do with the kids, which is what we would normally do since we both work during the week, like Monday to Friday. And my husband bought these pedal go-kart thingies, for my older one, and then a tricycle for the baby. And so the weekend's activity was to put them together and play with them. And so that was something that they were looking forward to last week. So we did this last weekend. And it was nice for us too, because it is fun when you're going to go do something brand new with your kids. So we tried to save big activities for the weekend, and we put it up on our calendar so they know. I mean, they can't read, but they know something is there.
Yeah.
To at least break up the Monday to Friday and the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's right now.
So just to pivot, because I feel like this is a great time to talk about it. What are our tips for working from home with children?
No.
Or what not to do, Laura? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I go in and out. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's
so
really
right
hard.
Now, to explain that. So my husband's in an important meeting right now. And so I have the baby monitor here. And I have, my preschooler on the iPad because she gets it while he's napping, so I don't lose my mind. This is, when I'm with a client, that's doors locked.
Sacred
privacy
time.
Concern. So my husband's work obviously doesn't have the confidentiality and the sensitive nature around it as mine does. I'm going to pause myself, maybe. I'll be right back.
No problem, Laura.
I need to hear your tips though. So
okay, we'll try to come up for some with some. What are your tips, Evelyn?
So mine, we actually tried out a couple of different things kind of from the first couple of weeks and what we're doing now. first couple weeks I tried to kind of do sessions in between, like here and there and in between, and like watching the kids in between. That was disastrous because it's so inconsistent for my kids, because I'd like come back if I had an hour or two, and then it'd be like, mommy, and I'm like, okay, now I have to leave for another hour, 2 hours. And so that just didn't work for us. So what I ended up doing was just condensing all of my, luckily all the people that were still working with me, and then new ones, new people that reached out for therapy, kind of just all fit into Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so I do have 2 very long days. I mean, I essentially work from like 9 to 9 those days. I have like breaks in between, so I don't, but I actually am just totally
Nine
like
to
away.
9?
Yeah, it's a long day.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot, like, for any job, but I feel like therapy is so much because you're taking in so much,
I don't have,
and you're
like,
holding such space for people.
I don't have something every single hour, but like there's like a few gaps. And I mean, for better or for worse, like people are calling and like do want therapy, which I think is great.
I'm really glad people are reaching out for therapy.
I think it's been very helpful for a lot of like new people that have started.
Yeah.
So I do put breaks in there for myself, so I don't like, I need to eat and like drink water and all that stuff. But that has worked for us. It is tough on my husband because he's got the kids all day long.
And he's working as well, right?
And he's working, you know, he's got his typical 9 to 5-ish schedule. But he's in a lot of meetings, so that's tough. And so we do rely on like the TV or the tablets during the times where like he just can't be with them, but it's not like nap time yet, or like he can't, you know, give them a snack or something.
What's nap time?
Yeah, so that's sleep part with kids is like a whole different story in our house too.
Oh yeah, I wanted an update on that. You were trying her.
Yeah, we just shifted our, like, everybody's just shifted to later, and that has been working much better for us.
Oh, good.
So
and then it gives you time in the morning, right?
Gives us a little bit of time in the morning. It's also nice because like we kind of sleep in. I mean, you know, sleeping in until 7:30 is considered.
Oh God. Whoa.
Nice.
Because they were starting to wake up at like 6, and which
God.
they don't even do, you know, pre-pandemic life.
Yeah.
And so we ended up shifting everything, and so they don't take a nap until like 3, maybe 4. They don't go to bed until about 9 or 10.
Wow.
But it's working, and everybody's sleeping better. We're not like, people aren't waking up in the middle of the night and wanting to be tucked back in. Like people are sleeping, like kids are sleeping through the night, so we can sleep through the night.
Yeah.
And so it works. And whenever we come out of this, we're obviously going to have to shift that, but it's working now. And if it's working, I'm not going to mess with it.
Great. Yeah.
Great.
That's
Good mentality. If it works, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bumper sticker of tea time.
Yeah.
If it works, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean, working is still tough, but having those 2, like, they are 2 long days. I mean, I'm happy that, like I said, people are reaching out and getting the help that they need, and I really do enjoy those days. But then it's easier because it leaves me 3 full days where I can just take the kids, and my husband has been trying to shift, you know, having more of his meetings on the days that I'm home, and that works for us. I mean, sometimes he can't avoid a meeting on a Tuesday or Thursday. He works for New York City, so he's, you know, he's on a lot of meetings. So
because there's something going on there right now.
He works for the water authority, so New York City still needs clean drinking water. So
yeah, now more than ever, probably.
Busy.
Yeah.
So that works for us, but like I know, and you know, Laura, I guess you can talk about kind of what works for you, but that has seemed to work the best for us. And like I said, when we need the tablets or the TV, it works. And if it works, I'm not going to mess with it. So those are my tips. I don't know if that's
everything
what we do.
Everything you just said is like what is working for me and what it seems like is working for other people who have 2 working parents. And it's basically like, I mean, for us right now, my husband is the breadwinner, so his work comes first and foremost. and for the first couple of weeks of this, I didn't work at all because I couldn't. He was trying to get set up, and I, honestly, emotionally, I wasn't in any place to be creative or work. And right now that's what my work is. It's like creating and launching a new thing, which is difficult to do when you don't have your basic needs met. But now we're in a much better place where like his work is a lot more balanced, and he can, like, I'll let him know, hey, I have this meeting, or hey, I have this call, or hey, I need a couple hours to do this, during the daytime, and we'll be able to trade on and off. Like right now the kids are out in the backyard with him so that I can have a relatively quiet house. You may hear some screaming, but everybody's okay.
Yeah, I think, and being honest when you can, hopefully everyone listening to this has a supportive job, but being honest about it. So, and even with my clients, so like Evelyn, I condensed my clients, but every once in a while we need to reschedule, and they know, like I reschedule it for nap time or in the evening, something where I know I have a better chance of my husband being able to come in. And then something else I recommend is going over the schedule regularly with each other and basically doing a game plan. So I talk about this in my relationships workshop I did, which I just recorded
online.
it,
Yeah.
which is now online. And so it's like
it.
very fresh in my head. I recorded it last Saturday. And so I went over it, and I've been practicing it diligently with my husband. It's helped so much because we also schedule in, okay, you can come with our afternoon nap, or like, okay, we can do our big dinner on this night, this exciting dinner.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. But definitely, we used to do it on a weekly basis. Right now, because of what's been going on and how things are a little more chaotic, it's about like almost every day we review it. So we go over it every week, but then every day in the morning, we go over, okay, when are your important meetings for the day that you can't miss? And I remind him if I'm seeing any clients, or remind him like, I really need to do this for my job. So that's like our morning meeting we have. And
I love it.
And then we go over it for the week. And I recommend that even post-pandemic, practicing that.
Communication is so hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Because you'll get into this like work mentality with each other of just like, you're juggling, everything's up in the air, and you're just trying to catch it and prevent something from falling on the floor, rather than proactively being like, here's our game plan. This is what I can't miss. How can you pick it up, or do I need to reschedule? Like what problem solving? And it makes you feel much more in control of the situation. And then you can plan those nice things, self-care things. There's a workshop I want to do at the nesting place. So that's up on the calendar, and that's going to be a me time thing. And his birthday's coming up, so we're starting to talk about that.
Oh, we should talk about that next week.
Yeah,
celebrations. My birthday's coming up too, and Mother's Day is coming up, and I'm like, how do I distinguich that from every other day? Having a hard time coming up with it.
Possible.
I know. So let's
we
make that
celebrated
our topic.
Our 4-year-old's birthday a couple weeks ago. It was the beginning of April.
How did it go?
It went well. We decorated the living room. Maybe in our next video I can show you how we decorated, and it was tough because this was the first year that she really understood what a birthday is and wanted a party with her friends, like from daycare and things like that. So obviously we couldn't do that. We did do a Zoom family birthday call. And I did like kind of go a little bit overboard with baking rainbow unicorn cupcakes and
decorating. If it's all you have, you just do it.
Yeah. So that's what we did. And she loved it. Like she got a kick out of it, and like it just, it is what it is. That was her fourth birthday party. But my husband's birthday is coming up next month as well, and Mother's Day, Father's Day.
Well, lots of May birthdays. Okay, so next week we're going to
talk about that. Let's brainstorm.
Celebrations in the time of COVID-19.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. All right, how are we signing off for this week? What are our little gems of advice for sending people along week 6? What would our theme be for this week, Laura? We didn't even talk about that, but like, what do you think? Yeah. What do you sense the mood is this week? Because I know mine is like, I feel like I'm in a better, like, this is our new normal kind of a place, but I'm curious what the word on the street is.
The word on the street and
We're
how
on the
I'm feeling,
Zoom.
like people I think are better with it, but I think noticing the physical impact of this, whether it is sleep, notice if you're reaching for another glass of wine or needing another cup of coffee, and first and foremost, noticing and acknowledging it is the first thing to do, as I said. So the physical link, and then I would say too, acknowledging the loss that's happening here with the time. And those of us with small children and those with babies, especially newborns, they're feeling that so greatly right now. So whether that, you need to be journaling, doing videos, documenting it in some way that feels special, but acknowledging that it isn't the same. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I think my only words of wisdom for this week are what I said earlier. Like, if something is working, don't mess with it.
I like
Just
that.
kind of go with that.
We need
for
that
now.
on a mug. Maybe we'll get tea time mugs. That's perfect.
Do
All
that
right.
and the family logistics meeting, I think, are the
Yes,
the
that is
takeaways.
so important because we are doing that as well, like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Here's
Perfect
my
timing. All right. Bye, ladies. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.